Greetings, I'm Destiny McKinney, a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, an even prouder alum of Grambling State University, where I became a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Grambling State is a HBCU located in Grambling, Louisiana. Check it out. Had to put that plug in there. So I'm coming to you with a book about Gordon Parks. He's a Black photographer. And we're going to look at Gordon Parks on how the photographer captured Black and white America. This book is by Carole Boston Weatherford and illustrations are by Jamey, Christoph. The youngest of 15, Parks arrives stillborn and is nearly left for dead until a dip in ice water shocks his tiny heart to beat. This baby is named for the man who saved his life, Dr. Gordon. When young Gordon crosses the prairie on horseback, nothing seems beyond reach. But his white teacher tells her all-black class, you all wind up porters and waiters. What did she know? After Gordon loses his mother at the age of 14, he moves in with his sister in Minneapolis. Soon on his own, Gordon works odd jobs, busboy, piano player, and finally, porter and waiter. 25 years old and all but broke, when a magazine spread about migrant farm workers inspires him to buy a used camera. That $7.50 is the best money he will ever spend. In 1 month, he teaches himself enough for an exhibit at a camera store. Soon he is shooting fashion and portraits. One model tells him to take his camera to the big city. In Chicago, Gordon's shots of struggling families on the South Side win him a chance to be a government photographer. He leaves the Midwest and turns his camera on Washington. Gordon wonders, what should I shoot? Search for a subject, says his boss. In the nation's capital, he passes the White House and the Supreme Court. In the shadow of the Capitol, he sees Black families living in alley dwellings. He can see Black families have it harder than whites. He passes statues, monuments, and memorials to mighty heroes, but there are enough photos of white men carved in marble and granite, excuse me. He glimpses white-only signs and shop windows and learns firsthand that even if there is no sign, it doesn't mean that a Black man will be served. Boiling mad, Parks vows to lay bare racism with his lens. He shares his vision with his boss, who points him towards his subject. Talk to her. She knows struggle. She is Ella Watson, a cleaning lady in the building where Parks works. She supports 5 children on just over $1,000 a year. The photographer follows her for weeks, home, church, and to work. At 4 a.m, after a long day she studies with the Bible with her family. Gordon takes pictures of her grandchildren too, dressing, eating, reading, playing, not yet knowing the racism that they will surely face. Over his long career, Gordon's photos will run in the Vogue and Life magazines, their first Black photographer. He will write novels, make movies, compose music and poetry, and be hailed a Renaissance man. But Gordon's most famous shot will be American Gothic. In the newspaper, the photo exposed to the nation, the unfairness of segregation. Standing before the flag of freedom, cleaning lady Ella Watson holds the tools of her trade and the hopes of her grandchildren. She knows all too well that opportunities the flag symbolizes are denied to her because of her skin color. Yet she dares to dream of and strive for better. Through Gordon's lens, her struggle gained a voice. You don't have to hear her story to know her prayer. So that was the end of the story. We're going to go into a little bit about Gordon real quick. So Gordon Parks was one of the most important photographers of the 20th century. Through art photography, music, literature, and film, he pursued what he called the common search for a better life and a better world. Born on November 30th, 1912, in Fort Scott, Kansas, Parks was the youngest of 15 children. His father, Andrew, was a tenant farmer, and his mother, Sarah, died when he was 15. He moved to St. Paul, Minnesota, where he lived with his sister for a short time and attended high school until he was forced to quit. He held various jobs, including that of a singer and piano player, while working as a railroad porter. He was so moved by a magazine photo spread about migrant workers that he bought a camera at a pawn shop. We just heard about that. Although self-taught, he soon became a portrait and fashion photographer and landed an exhibition at a Eastman Kodak store. Marva Lewis, a model and the wife of boxing champion Joe Louis, suggested that Parks move to a big city to further his career. He chose Chicago. A photo essay that Parks shot on Chicago's South Side won him a fellowship to photograph social conditions in America for the Farm Security Administration, a government agency based in Washington, D.C. During his first days with the Farm Security Administration, FSA, Parks, stunned by racial segregation in the Capitol, shot his defining photograph. A cleaning woman, Ella Watson. Miss Watson supported 2 grandchildren and an adopted daughter on a salary of less than $1,000 a year. The iconic photograph of her holding a broom and a mop against a backdrop of the American flag will become known as American Gothic. In one iconic photo, Parks conveyed both the African American struggle against racism and the contradiction between segregation and freedom. After the FSA closed in 1943, Parks built a successful career as a photographer for leading magazines such as Life and Vogue. As Life's first Black staff photographer and writer, Parks photographed racism and poverty, as well as leaders and celebrities. Committed to social justice, he not only documented, but also served as an advocate for the civil rights movement. In his latter years, Parks proved to be a Renaissance man. He stretched artistically by experimenting with color photography, writing novels and poetry, composing music, and writing and directing films. In 1963, he published the coming-of-age novel, The Learning Tree. In 1969, when the book became a movie, Parks was the first African-American to write and direct a feature film. He also directed the 1971 hit movie Shaft. A humanitarian as well as an artist, Parks was awarded the National Medal of Arts in 1988 and held more than 50 honorary doctorate degrees. He died in 2006. I'm going to get a close-up of some of his work. That's Miss Ella, who we just learned about. That's the infamous original picture. It's her again at home. And that's it. This was an amazing book. Gordon did an amazing job. Gordon Parks did an amazing job of capturing the beauty in the struggle, the contradiction in the society that we live in and broke bounds in doing so. I hope you found some inspiration and learned something new today. And I look forward to seeing the pictures that you take and the vision that you project for us to see, because you're the future. And I'm so grateful